Spoiler time, baby. This movie, right from the get go, felt a little bit off to me. There was some sort of weird metaphorical voiceover by Bruce Wayne about leaves falling and how that related to life, and then it flashed back to his parents' death. And throughout that whole scene, I kept thinking, this is very strange. I was really enjoying Hans Zimmer's score during that scene. That track is beautiful, but it just felt so odd. Like, we all know Bruce Wayne's backstory. Why are you dragging this out so long? Why is it so slow? Why do you have these really big close-ups of the pearl necklace slowly falling apart? I know that's part of Batman's origin, but we all know that. You didn't need to drag it on that long. It was a visually impressive scene. I just thought it felt very out of place and edited weirdly and just a weird way to open the movie. And then when the childhood Bruce Wayne is being lifted up by the bats, I literally sat back in my seat like, what is happening right now? Some people have said this was a dream, but if that was a dream that wasn't made clear at all, it was just really artsy, pretentious things like that he was becoming the bat. He doesn't become a bat, it's his biggest fear, and he uses that to prey on other people's fears. That whole opening was so strange to me. But then when Bruce Wayne is traveling through Metropolis during the Superman destruction, I was right back on board. That's what I want to see. Batman v Superman fighting. Why are they fighting? Who should we root for? And that part was great. After that scene though, this movie just became wacky tacky. There was that weird scene with Superman rescuing Lois in the Middle East or Africa or something. And right away I was like, well, this is a stupid intro for Superman. You didn't even get to see him talk. He just lands through the building and it's really anticlimactic. And then you find out later in the movie that this was some giant plan by Lex Luthor to frame Superman for killing innocents. But in that scene, you can't even really see who's being killed. It's like you can't differentiate from soldiers to civilians to the news crew with Lois. It was all very jumbled and confusing. And then you cut to the courthouse later and you have a lady saying that Superman killed all these people. But the way that scene was constructed, it wasn't made clear at all that Superman could even somewhat be blamed for some sort of catastrophe. There was literally 100 different ways they could have made that scene better with the same end result. And what pissed me off is, why was that scene even necessary? Wasn't the destruction of Metropolis from Man of Steel enough to get the government really concerned about Superman? Wouldn't enough civilians be extremely pissed off from the thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of lives lost in that movie? And they started to play with that at the beginning of the movie. You saw Bruce Wayne running through the destruction, pissed off. But instead of building off that moment, they create this new moment that has no impact. And that was just the first of many scenes in the first half of the movie that were completely jumbled and did not flow together. You had Superman in the courthouse, you had Batman in the Batcave, and then Superman randomly talks to his mom, and then he's making out with Lois Lane in a bathtub, and then Lois Lane is chasing a bullet, and then Bruce Wayne is having a one-night stand at some weird safe house on the lake. It was just all over the place, and none of it blended together. You just can't help but feel like it was such a wasted opportunity to develop the characters of Batman and Superman. For Superman, he's supposed to be going through this huge inner conflict. What's my place in the world? Should I be helping people? Am I responsible for all this destruction that's killed millions of lives? But they don't elaborate on that at all. The character of Superman is given terrible dialogue. He's got nothing to work with as a character. And I feel so bad for Henry Cavill because all he gets to do in the movie is just make pouty faces. That's all he gets to do. And I think he could be a great Superman. They just don't give him anything to work with. All the scenes with Lois Lane in this movie fall so flat. They're meant to be the emotional part of the story, but every line of dialogue by him to Lois is cringeworthy because they don't develop the character at all. They just throw these lines like, I love you. No one can stay good in this world. And it just falls so flat because Zack Snyder and whoever wrote this script or whoever edited parts out of this script did not know how to tell a character's development. As for Batman, they hint that he's had a really troubled past, that maybe Robin's died in the past and it's really screwed him up. He doesn't think anyone can stay good in this world or all the good guys are going to be dead. But they don't go into it enough. Instead of really developing his character a lot, and he's still one of the better characters, well, really the only good character in the movie from a development standpoint, but it's still not great. They just don't go into it enough. Instead, they have these weird dream sequences that just make no sense. I mean, seriously, what the hell was with that dream sequence in the desert with all these insectoid creatures flying down and with guns? And there's, I think, a voiceover from The Flash. Some people are saying that this is some sort of vision of the future, but in what way was that at all relevant to this story? Not to set up Justice League, not for a future DC movie. That was not at all relevant to this story. You could have had the aspect of Bruce Wayne having nightmares about Superman, but it could have been so much better if it was just short, sweet, and straight to the point. Here's an example. You could have had a quick dream sequence where Bruce flashes back to his friend that died in Metropolis, maybe the bat signal is destroyed, and then you see Superman about to laser eye Batman and kill him, and then boom, there's your desert world where Superman is the king of all through fear. But no, they had this weird, artsy, pretentious scene with bugs, with guns, and that just really confused most of the audience. And as much as I love Ben Affleck as Batman, I still felt like they got a few elements of Batman wrong, even though he was the best part of the movie. First of all, he straight up kills people in this movie. He kills multiple people. And like normally I wouldn't get so over the top about the code of a superhero, but that is a very strict code of Batman. He doesn't kill. If you're telling me there's a Batman that kills people, then any of his arch villains, like the Joker, the Riddler, Penguin, anyone he's going to encounter in future or past movies, there's no reason for them to be alive. To be honest, I really thought they were going to take Batman in a different direction, and in my opinion, this is how Batman should have been in this movie. Batman should have been retired in this movie. He should have felt too guilty about Robin dying in the past, and he's just so sick of Gotham after 20 years that he just doesn't think anyone can be good anymore, and he just can't do it anymore. He gives up the cape and cowl. But when he sees the destruction of Metropolis firsthand, he sees the power that Superman possesses, he becomes obsessed with bringing him down. He trains all the time, he's unhealthy, he's on the verge of madness. On that verge of madness right up until he's about to kill Superman in a rage. And then in that final moment, he realizes, I can't do this. I can't kill someone. What have I become? And that's where their philosophical differences start to come together, and they start to understand that they're not the real enemies, and that Lex Luthor, whatever he was doing, something better than what he did in this movie, has really been the problem all along. Because I really hate the reason Batman and Superman fight in this movie. I get it from Batman's point of view. He's pissed at what happened in Metropolis. But from Superman's point of view, it's just because, his mom was captured. That's so lame. They should have had the philosophical differences clashing where both of them really wanted to fight each other. And they should have fought each other more than once. They should have fought each other 2 or 3 times and then have the third time, or at the very least the second time, be the big main showdown. It's just really unfortunate because the actual fight between the two is awesome and epic and everything everyone wanted from this movie. But the setup before and after just isn't there, so during the fight you just don't care as much as you want to, and don't even get me started on how their fight ends.
Martha! Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
They stop fighting because their moms have the same name? Seriously? Who wrote this garbage? I mean, really, that is just awful screenwriting. You're trying to tell me that Batman, who lives through the torture of his parents every single day, it haunts him every time he punches someone, he thinks of his parents. You're telling me that when someone says, Martha, it shocks him back to normality? No chance. That is just despicable screenwriting. And that was bad enough. But then they have the audacity for Batman to say to Superman's mother,
I'm a friend of your son's.
No, you're not. You're Batman. You're a rageaholic. You have severe psychological issues. You don't have friends. For him to just be buddies with Superman now because his mom said his name, or because their mom has the same name, just no, I will not accept that. Which leads me to my next point, which is that this movie is full of plot conveniences. Any problem in this movie is just solved lazily and because the script says the next scene needs to happen. Batman's decryption device just steals Lex's information just because. Where's Superman's mom? Oh, Alfred, you found her? How did you find her? Oh, it doesn't matter. He just found her because. Oh, hey, Lex Luthor. You need access to Zod's body? Sure. You want private access too? Go right ahead. Why do you want this? Shh, it doesn't matter. Oh, hey, Lex Luthor. You want control of the alien ship? You want to have access to it alone? With no security protocol? With this alien technology? Go right ahead. By all means. Stay as long as you want. Oh, hey, Lex Luthor. You want control of the alien ship? Oh, wait. No, the voice in the ship says that there is a security protocol that does not allow you to do this. Well, where are the Kryptonians now? Dead? Okay, well, let's do it anyways. Okay, sir. Oh, wait, you have control of the ship now. That's great. Oh, hey, Lex Luthor. You want to create this weird alien creature with your own blood and some weird developmental pool on the ship that happens to be there, and somehow you know how to do all this, and this is somehow your weird de facto plan B? Sure. It's just thing after thing after thing that is just lazy writing. Now, Wonder Woman. I said she didn't need to be in this movie, and she didn't. But I was actually really on board with her at first. She was kind of like a mysterious Bond girl, and I was really excited to see where they'd take her in the film. But they take her nowhere. Her job is to set up the Justice League. And how do they do this? She receives an email. An email is how they set up the Justice League in this movie. Why didn't she just get a Snapchat from Bruce Wayne? You know, he could face swap with Aquaman. Like, that is atrocious screenwriting. There's no excuse for that. I could not believe watching this. I was literally watching. You are using an email to set up the Justice League? And yes, she fights the Lord of the Rings cave troll Ninja Turtle. But did we really need her to be there? Couldn't it have just been Batman and Superman fighting Doomsday? And it begs the question, okay, why are you having this conscience now that now you need to help out our superheroes? Where were you when the huge destruction of Metropolis was going on? I'll give you that. Maybe you weren't around. Maybe you were somewhere else. But why are you helping now? Not explained, because nothing is explained in this movie. There's no character development. And Lex Luthor, I just didn't understand his motivations at all. He had some throwaway line near the end of the movie where he said something like, "I learned a long time ago when Daddy hit me that if you're all powerful, you can't be good. And if you're good, you can't be all powerful." And all his dialogue is delivered so twitchy and metaphorically that it's really hard to even understand what he's saying a lot of the time. And it doesn't create any suspense for the character. There's zero villainous aspects to him. You're never scared of him. I really think if Eisenberg toned down his performance and had a little more subtlety, it would have been way better. But what I really think is what everyone else thought from the get-go. This was a terrible casting decision. Lex Luthor should have been a deceptive businessman that has been very, calculatively deceiving both Superman and Batman in some master genius plan. But you just get this twitchy little weirdo who doesn't do much of anything in the movie, and it just doesn't work. You could have even had Batman team up with Lex Luthor to try to take down Superman, not realizing that Lex has some ulterior motives and isn't good the way he appears to be. And I can't stress enough how much I despised how Doomsday was created. Just the way Lex Luthor somehow took over the ship and had all this access to it, and then he cut his hand in some weird pool, and Doomsday was miraculously born. It was just lazy, pathetic screenwriting. Doomsday himself was awful too. Like I said, he looked like some stupid Lord of the Rings cave troll Ninja Turtle. Some people are going to say that, the fight with him and Wonder Woman was really cool. It wasn't cool to me. It was just CGI nonsense. You couldn't really see what was going on. It was just a bunch of bright colors and explosions and slapping. It was not well shot action. And he looked stupid. Then you also had Lois Lane doing all these completely irrelevant things, like she drops the spear in the water, and then she goes over here, and then she needs to go back and gets the spear, but then she drowns, so then we need Superman to go rescue her. They really struggled to make her relevant in this movie. And that whole arc with her searching for where that bullet came from was painfully boring and did not fit in the overall story of the movie. It's like they should have just had Lois Lane in one or two emotional scenes to help the character of Superman. But it was almost like Amy Adams is too much of a star for that, and in her contract she needed to be in more of the movie. It's like they're like, Yeah, we can't have her just be in 1 or 2 scenes. Can you find a way for her to be in the climax? Yeah, I guess she could go grab the spear. Why not? You said Superman didn't save anyone in Man of Steel. I guess, he could save Lois Lane again. Finally, you have the last 20 minutes when they try to convince you that Superman died. Like, come on. We know Superman is not dead. We know the Justice League is coming. We know you're not doing the Justice League without Superman. Maybe if they had taken their time and done a really great Man of Steel sequel and really developed the character of Superman, it could have been a really neat, ballsy choice to kill Superman in this movie and have the Justice League evolve from that death and grow as a team. But as it is, there's a 0% chance that Superman is dead. So that whole 20 minutes where they're trying to have the funerals and all this crap, it was so dragged out and unnecessary. Why did it need to be 20 minutes when the audience knows Superman is not dead? So now, when Justice League starts, you have to bring Superman back from the dead. Not only Superman, though, because they said Clark Kent died, too. So now you have to bring Clark Kent back from the dead. And hey, don't those two guys who just came back from the dead sort of look alike? They'd probably be in the same story of the newspaper that they're back alive. Like, it was such a ridiculous choice when it matters none in the film. I'm really not trying to completely hate on this movie. There's just so much wasted potential. You can see the good elements, but the sloppy writing, the sloppy editing, the sloppy pacing just completely derails this movie. Whenever you get really invested in a scene, there's 5 more scenes that completely take you out of it or feel jumbled, or there's all these dragged out scenes that don't fit. They just should have focused on making a great film and not worried about the Justice League. The Justice League will come from making a great film. I just don't understand how you see the success of Marvel. You have to catch up, and you try this one big home run swing? Like, what are you doing, DC? Ultimately, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is a movie I would love to tune into while I'm watching cable TV or something. It has some great moments that I'd really like to watch, but to watch this film from start to finish is a bit of a chore. It's going to give you a bit of a headache. There's definitely parts you'll enjoy, but it really will take you out of it at some parts too. And it's just, you really see a wasted opportunity, and it just leaves this hunger for a better story with these characters, because we all love these characters. I am curious to see the 3-hour cut of this movie, and I feel like a lot of fanboys are going to say that, oh, just wait for the 3-hour cut, it's going to fix all those problems. I don't think that's going to be the case. If anything, I think all the extra content might even make it feel more jumbled, because I think it's clear from this final cut that they just did not have talented people with character and story putting this story together, because I can't imagine someone with a critical mind for story, character development, character motivations would allow this script editing and pacing as the final cut, because it's a sloppy mess. So guys, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, what did you think? I'm sure a lot of you are going to really disagree with me. I'm sure some of you really like this movie and think my complaints are unfounded. It just didn't work for me, and based on the Rotten Tomatoes score and a lot of the critical and even fan reception, it seems like it didn't really work for most people, even more than Man of Steel. I liked Man of Steel, but it didn't get great reviews. This is really getting slammed by a lot of people. But anyways, I'd really like to hear what you guys think. Comment below and let me know. And if you like this video, click like. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you later.